doesn't fit into that category. That includes all of us. So we should recognize why that First Amendment is so important. The economic issue is a little bit more challenging because people are determined that there will be some that won't take care of themselves, and then the burden will be placed on their neighbor and the government. But that's where the flaw is. You shouldn't make this assumption that there's always the moral hazard that somebody else will take care of us if we don't take care of ourselves. If you're told that you have personal freedom on your own life, on your own lifestyles, and your own habits, that you might do some harm. Well, this is true. In a society like this, where there's economic or personal liberty, you become, or it is necessary that we become more tolerant. People say, oh no, I can't tolerate, they're going to go out and gamble and do these things that I just disapprove of. But you know, tolerance, when they don't hurt other people and they only can hurt themselves, is quite a bit different than endorsing something. Because we have religious freedom, we don't endorse the religion that people practice. So why can people say, well, if we have personal liberties, we're endorsing what their bad habits might be? That isn't the case. Right now, what I witness is a restoration of a deep interest in what a free society is all about. And we have to do it rather quickly. And the reason why there's more attention now is the recognition that our foreign policy is failing, it's a failure, and the leadership in both parties at this very moment do not offer us many alternatives. When the Democrats are in, they think a Republican might say something differently. And when the Republicans are in, the Democrats say something else, and nothing ever changes. They claim that, like the administration changed, they would have a different attitude about the use of medical marijuana, but it never seems to happen. Once again, it can bring people together. Because some people criticize libertarians and conservatives for defending the principle of the states making these determinations. The states should be able to make some of these determinations. But some are accused that if you say states' rights, then they paint you as a bad person. But why wouldn't this be the case? If you live in a state where medical marijuana has been legalized, why don't you say under the Constitution that the federal government has no right to come in and override the state? The drug issue is one area where I'm cautiously optimistic because our country did wake up on the insanity and the ill-advised prohibition of alcohol. And alcohol obviously is a very, very dangerous drug. So I think people will wake up, especially when they start looking at the problem. When you look at addiction as a crime rather than a disease, it might be a lot different. If we looked at it in this manner, I think there would be a much better acceptance than saying that we have to throw everybody in prison for these things. So this is where I am cautiously optimistic that one day we're going to wake up, and it might be that the states will just, grab hold of nullification and say, look, if you do it once you're old, you know what's going to But there's every reason to be optimistic that we can turn this around. Optimistic, one reason, because people are recognizing that we have a problem. We have a drug addiction, and we have an addiction to big government. So if we know we have the addiction, we know that we have to quit. And this is what I think has happened in the last 4 or 5 years. I've been talking about this for a long time, and the reception is completely different. Since the financial crisis hit, and these prolonged wars have continued with no end in sight, and with the bankruptcy on our doorstep, the American people, especially the young people, are starting to realize, what am I getting into? I want a better deal.
private.
For a long time, and then the last link to gold was severed. I just sort of had a suspicion what would happen. Everything would explode on the side of spending and deficits and prices and financial bubbles and the crisis that we have. But the Fed is important because it facilitates big government. So we can describe what liberty is all about. We can look for better people to go to Washington and hope they don't vote a certain way. But if you didn't have a Fed, it wouldn't be financed. Because the members of Congress, if they kept responding and saying, well, I have to vote for this or I won't get reelected, if they did that, and they'd have to raise taxes if they didn't have the Fed. And they have to keep borrowing. The interest rates would go up. As long as you have the Fed there, you delay the problem. You delay it, and you can allow this government to grow and grow. And that is what's happened. Almost every war fought throughout history has been fought with destruction of currencies. So in many ways, there's such a benefit with honesty and money. And the founders understood this, and they tried to save us from ourselves. But we didn't follow the rules. Matter of fact, they warned us rather clearly about democracy. Don't drift into democracy. Because democracy is very bad because rights become arbitrary. Their argument was that democracy would eventually waste our economy and waste our whole system. And it would be consuming, it wouldn't be building wealth. And it would continue by the dictatorship of the majority to the point where the whole thing collapses on itself. So we know what the problem is. We know what the solution is. We need to get more energized. We need to change the nature of government. We need to change the understanding of the people and the role of government. And we can reverse that. We can once again restore the greatness of America with freedom and prosperity.